She has a lot of gay friends, and I don't like them.
You got any advice for us? No, I'm married to a woman. Sorry about that.
Dave Chappelle just humiliated woke ideology. Dave Chappelle has never been one to shy away from controversy, and this time he's taking direct aim at woke ideology. With his razor-sharp wit and unapologetic stance, Chappelle's latest views on woke culture and identity politics leave no room for debate. It's a brutal takedown that has everyone talking. Let's have a look at how Dave just humiliated woke ideology.
And sitting next to the bees, all the way in the back seat by themselves, looking out the window, that's the tease. Everybody in the car respects the tease, but everyone also resents the tease. It's not the tease fault, but everyone in the car just feels like the tease are making the trip take longer. Anything the tease say gets on everybody's nerves. And then the tease don't even say anything bad. They just be in the back talking to himself. I'm hot. Shut up. Shut the up, okay? Just roll the window down. What? Just said I was hot. Could you pull over at the next exit? I need to use the restroom. There is not a restroom for you for 4 states, nigga. Will you just shut the up so we can get where we're going? And they've canceled people that are more powerful than me. They canceled J.K. Rowling. My God, J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books by herself. She sold so many books, the Bible worries about her. And they canceled her because she said in an interview, and this is not exactly what she said, but effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what the that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments. So I looked it up. TERF is an acronym. Stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. This is a real thing. This is a group of women that hate transgender. They don't hate transgender women, but they look at trans women the way we blacks might look at blackface. It offends them. Like, ooh, this is doing an impression of me.
We'll start with a controversial moment Dave Chappelle addressed, the backlash faced by J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. He points out that despite her massive success, so much that even the Bible might feel threatened by her book sales, she got canceled for saying that gender is a fact. The trans community didn't take that lightly and labeled her a TERF, which he admits he had to look up. Chappelle humorously notes that trans people seem to create new words to win arguments, leading him to discover that TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. He explains that this group of women isn't against transgender people per se, but they feel offended by trans women, kind of like how black people might feel about blackface. His comparison is meant to highlight the complexity of these discussions, making humor with a bit of social commentary. Overall, he uses this moment to illustrate how charged conversations about gender can get while keeping the audience entertained with his unique take.
The gay community started accusing African-American community of being homophobic for not supporting him. What they didn't understand is that we were supporting him with our silence because we understood that this was clearly lying. Black people never feel sorry for the police, but this time we even felt sorry for the police. Can you imagine if you was a police veteran taking this kid's police report? Okay, Mr. Smoulier, please tell me what happened. All right, 2 a.m. You left the house at 2 a.m. It's minus 16 degrees. And you were walking. All right. And where were you going? Subway. Sandwiches? That's when the men approached you? Did you see them? Do you have any? Okay, what they have on? MAGA hats. MAGA hats on in Chicago. Excuse me 1 second, Mr. Smoulier. Frank, come here for a second. Find out where Kanye West was last night.
Comedy has always been about pushing boundaries, and Chappelle masters this craft. While some may find his materials offensive, others see it as a necessary exploration of societal taboos. Dave Chappelle jokes about the gay community accused black people of being homophobic for not supporting a particular incident involving Jussie Smollett. Chappelle points out that many in the black community were silent supporters because they sensed something was off about the story. He humorously imagines a police veteran interviewing Smollett after he reported a strange attack in the cold while on his way to get a Subway sandwich. Chappelle's comedic approach highlights the situation's absurdity, emphasizing that it was hard to believe Smollett's claims, especially given the details he provided. By weaving in humor, he sheds light on the bogus hate crime, all while making the audience laugh at the ridiculousness of it all.
And what Norm did, which I'll never forget, he called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey. And everyone said, no. Call him Andy. And I didn't understand. And then he came over and he was acting weird. I didn't know he was acting like Andy Kaufman. Just like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello. Andy? I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
In another bit, Chappelle shares a memorable experience of meeting his idol, Jim Carrey, while filming The Man on the Moon, where Carrey portrayed the legendary comedian Andy Kaufman. He uses this story to parallel the ongoing discussions about gender identity. Chappelle was super excited to meet Carrey, but he arrived, he found that Carrey was so immersed in his role that he was acting like Kaufman, even off camera. Chappelle was confused and disappointed because he wanted to meet the real Jim Carrey, not the character. He emphasizes that it's not all about disregarding anyone's experience, but rather about recognizing the existing layers of identity. Sometimes what you see on the surface doesn't tell the whole story, much like how he felt about meeting Carrey. By wrapping his thoughts in humor, Chappelle makes a point about the complexities of identity while keeping the audience engaged and entertained.
And if I were to be brutally honest, the only reason I ever been mad at the transgender community is because I was at a club in LA and danced with one of these 6 songs straight. I had no idea. And then the lights came up and I saw them knuckles. I said, oh no! And everybody was laughing at me, hi, world star. I said, why didn't you say anything? Then I heard that sultry voice. I didn't say anything, Dave Chappelle, because I was having a wonderful time, and I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. I said, you knew how I'd feel. And she said, I'm going home. I don't want any trouble from you. I said, home? It's only 2 songs left. I mean, we might as well finish the night. And we ended up having breakfast together.
Building on his earlier thoughts, Dave Chappelle shares a humorous story about a surprising night out in L.A. He recalls dancing for 6 songs with someone he didn't realize was a transgender. When the lights came on, he noticed some distinct features that caught him off guard, leading to confusion and laughter from those around him. Chappelle reflects on how the person was dancing with him after revealing their identity, explaining that they hadn't said anything because they were enjoying themselves and weren't sure how he would react. He jokes about the situation, saying she knew exactly how he'd feel. Despite the shock, they ended up having breakfast together, showing that laughter and good vibes can bridge any misunderstanding. Chappelle uses this lighthearted story to convey that sometimes situations can be unexpected and even lead to great connections. His playful tone reminds the audience that humor can help navigate complex conversations about identity, all while keeping things friendly and fun.
After the show, I saw him backstage. He was like, yo, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he had his buddy with him. He goes, Dave, I want you to meet Manuel. Manuel's my fiance. We're in New York getting married because it's legal here. I said, well, congratulations, fellas. And Manuel was like, gracias. And he went to go get some drinks. And then my buddy looked at me. He was like, so Dave, what do you think? And I started mumbling again. You gay, you know, you're just gay. He said, yeah, I'm a little nervous about getting married, man. It's a big step. I said, yeah, it is. It's a big step. He said, well, you've been married for a while. You got any advice for us? No, I'm married to a woman. Sorry about that. And he corrected me. He said, no, you married the person that you love. So it's essentially the same. I said, you know, man, the problem with that statement is that it makes the assumption that I love her. But you guys lighten the up. Of course I love my wife.
In this next bit, Dave Chappelle shares a funny encounter he had after a show. Continuing his playful critique on societal norms, he ran into a friend who introduced him to his fiancée, Manuel. He mentioned they were getting married in New York because it's legal there. Chappelle congratulated them. But did his friend turn the conversation towards marriage advice, assuming Chappelle could relate since he was married? Chappelle humorously reminded them he's married to a woman, not a man. His friend's response was that love is love regardless of gender. In his classic style, Chappelle pushed back with some humor. With a mix of laughter and sarcasm, he declared his commitment to his wife, emphasizing that love should be genuine and not assumed. Through the lighthearted exchange, Chappelle effectively challenges the idea that all relationships can be equated simply because they involve love, subtly critiquing the notion of woke culture that tries to simplify complex human emotions. His humor entertains and sparks a deeper conversation about the nuances of love and identity.
My wife's friend, Stuart, told me that. My wife has a lot of gay friends. Stuart's their leader. She has a lot of gay friends. And I don't like them. Not because they're gay, I'm just judging them on the merits of their character. They're just not nice dudes. They're rude house guests. They're sitting on my couch, giggling with my wife, eating my macaroons. And I come in, they act like the party's over. Hey, Stuart, what's going on? This guy talks to me the way a cat would speak if a cat could talk. Hi, David. He always wants to have some kind of gay political argument. The last one was about a petition in federal court to take the words husband and wife out of the law. I said, well, why would you want those words out the law? He said, because it discriminates against same-sex couples. I was like, please save me the semantics. Just trust me, take your chips and get the out of the casino. You're about to crap out. Go outside, talk that over amongst yourselves, and whichever one of you is gayer, that's the wife.
Following his humorous reflections on love and relationships, Dave Chappelle dives into another funny story about his interactions with his wife's friends. He admits that he doesn't have a problem with their sexuality. Instead, it's their lack of manners that bothers him. These guys, led by a friend named Stuart, came over, ate his mother's macaroons, and giggled with his wife as if he was not even there. Chappelle recalls a conversation where Stuart tried to engage him in a debate about removing the terms husband and wife from legal documents to avoid discrimination against same-sex couples. Chappelle humorously brushes off the semantics, suggesting that they should take their chips and leave the metaphorical casino because they're about to lose. He lightheartedly concludes that when it comes to gay couples, one of them always seems to take on the wife role, adding a comedic twist to the complexities of relationships. Through his jokes, Chappelle not only entertains but subtly critiques the overreach of political correctness in discussions about marriage and identity.
But there's a more important reason that I would stop doing comedy right now. And this reason is the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage. It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Because it's so sensitive, the whole country is turned into big ass niggas.
There are more and more brutal shutdowns on the list. In his latest take on woke culture, Dave Chappelle shares a candid moment about the challenges of modern comedy. He jokes about how it feels impossible to entertain an overly sensitive crowd, saying it's like performing for a bunch of butthurt people. Reflecting on the good old days of Chappelle's show, he expresses his frustration with how fragile everyone's feelings have become. It's not just about avoiding certain jokes. It's like walking on eggshells trying to make people laugh without sparking outrage. Chappelle's humor shines through as he laments the loss of comedic freedom in a world where everyone seems ready to be offended.
I'll be real with you, and I know nobody gives a fuck what I think anyway. I'm not for abortion. Oh, shut up. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it either. It all depends on who I get pregnant. I don't care, I'll tell you right now, I don't care what your religious beliefs are or anything. If you have a dick, you need to shut the fuck up on this one. Seriously, this is theirs. The right to choose is their unequivocal right. Not only do I believe they have the right to choose, I believe that they shouldn't have to consult anybody, except for a physician, about how they exercise that right. Gentlemen, that is fair. And ladies, to be fair to us, I also believe if you decide to have the baby, a man should not have to pay. That's fair. If you can kill this motherfucker, I can at least abandon him. It's my money, my choice.
And if I'm wrong, then perhaps we're wrong. Figure that shit out for yourself.
Chappelle's next take on woke culture might surprise you. He dives into the issue of abortion with his usual wit and charm. He starts by admitting he's not fully for or against it, saying it all depends on who becomes pregnant. With a playful twist, he tells the men in the audience to keep quiet, emphasizing that it's a woman's right to choose. He argues that women should only need to consult a doctor when making this decision. Chappelle humorously points out the double standard, suggesting that if women can choose not to have a baby, men shouldn't be forced to pay for it. His take on this complex topic sparks laughter while encouraging a deeper discussion about rights and responsibilities. In wrapping up Dave Chappelle's bold exploration of today's culture wars, it's clear he isn't afraid to tackle tough topics like identity, equality, and woke culture. His unique blend of humor and insight challenges us to think deeply while laughing hard. In a time when many play it safe, Chappelle shows that humor can be a powerful tool for making a point. If you're curious about which other big celebrities have taken a stance against woke culture, check out our latest video where they deliver some of the most brutal takedowns on woke culture. And remember to share your thoughts on Dave Chappelle's views on woke ideology in the comments below.